from the Institute of African Studies, who will work together to be able to put together this event. My friends who I have known for the last 12 years, Victor John, I don't know where he's seated. He must be outside trying to fix something. Oh, you're there. Okay. Wilson, everyone who has really worked hard to make sure that PACEID, which really represents a new strategy on exports, on growth, on manufacturing, we worked hard to make sure that we have this event today. So I came with the team, maybe quickly, so that when I finish the presentation, I can resume my seat. I came with the team. Ambassador Kilonzo, if you can stand up. Kiema Kilonzo is former ambassador of Kenya to Turkey and to Uganda. And he was a member of parliament, and he's the chairman of CN Light East Africa. I have Brenda Opus, who is the head of markets, where we sell our products. So the conversations we want to have on the China market, she will be the person to follow through. And then Alan is on infrastructure and technology. And there are many things I will show you. We are working very quickly, very hard on to make sure that the country can trade better, can attract investment. So the follow through will be done by Alan. Then I have Joshua, who represents the Ministry of Science and ICT. They are the ones who handle data, telecoms, regulations. So he's came with me so that we are able to see what CN Light does. Enoch, who works for CN Light in Kampala on the project that we're starting. And the rest of my media team who are behind cameras. So I came with them for a short time. I will leave them here and go to another country over the weekend. But I want to thank the team that we worked with here for welcoming us warmly, because we did not bother Ambassador Savabera. We just got from the airport to the hotel, and we've been treated very well, from vehicles to food to this morning's visit. I thank you very, very much. The earliest trade between Africa and any part of the world was with Asia, not Europe, not America. Because we have found that there are seeds. So Africa, so if I take West Africa, has a particular type of seed, grain, that is very nutritious. It has proteins. In Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, we have a particular seed of the same properties called millet and sorghum. And then in Ethiopia, we have another seed called teff. Those seeds are 5,000 years old. And that's how old China is when you come to think about it. So recently, about 5 years ago, we found traces of those seeds in the western part of India, in a place called Gujarat. And in that belt, when you stretch to China, those seeds, archaeologists found that they are 2,500 years old in this part of Asia. They could not really have come by birds flying over the ocean. They must have come by trade. It means that trade has always been our relationship and connection. Now, we know that also in the year 1545, a gentleman called Zhonghe took a large ship and sailed across the ocean and came to Malindi and Pemba and Kilwa. These are coastal cities of Tanzania and Kenya. And he stayed 6 months. Zhonghe was a very good fighter, I think of the Qing dynasty. And he came back with gifts from Africa. One of them was a giraffe. And so we had long-term cultural and trade relations, but they were diverted from the year 1488 by the Spanish, eventually the British and the French, and we lost touch. But it's interesting, history has returned where it started. Our largest trading partner is China and India, where trade started many, many years ago. So we have $1.3 billion worth of trade with China, and almost 30% of our foreign direct investment comes from China, and a lot of the fast-moving consumer good inputs, so you talk about fridges, screens, the manufacturing is here. I will come to the presentation, just hold a second. And so, from 1949, I went back so far, but I want to come to the present. In 1949, when Chairman Mao took over in China, he gave a lot of inspiration to some of the people that fought colonialism in Africa. And President Museveni is one of them. And Uganda has a lot of respect and cultural and political ties with China because of that example that we have had in China. So last night I was telling the director in one of the Ugandan province that we know in Uganda that Chairman Mao made China stand up. Deng Xiaoping made China rich. And President Xi Jinping is making China strong. And therefore, that's the example we want in Africa, to ensure that we too can unite and learn from you. So, I just want very quickly to run through this presentation. Some people who may never have not visited Uganda, so Africa is 54 states, but we're really working under one common market now. When you are in Uganda, you are able to trade with any part. So Nigeria is 4 hours, 3.5. Egypt is 3.5. South Africa is 3.5. And so you are really at the center of Africa, and you are able to trade with very, very limited regulation because we allow money to come in. If you bring in $1 million and invest it in a manufacturing plant, you take it with your profits. You can register a single-owned company. You get tax incentives. So by the time I leave Guangdong, if I can find someone to do packaging, for example, for ground nuts, packaging material plant for coffee products, for pineapples, this is good business. We remove taxes, we offer you certain incentives. If you want to assemble computers, laptops, like what CN Light will be doing, these are all incentives that we fight for as our committee. So let me very quickly, can I go into with this? You don't speak people as refugees, we integrate them in our community. And that's who we are. And we have 41,000 square kilometers of fresh water. So you want to produce tilapia, Nile perch, for export. Egypt, for example, has 6,000 square kilometers of fresh water. We have 41. We are looking for producing, in the next 5 years, 1 million tons of fish fillet. We are only doing 168,000. So we need companies in the fish sector to produce fish feeds, to bring in fish fingerlings, and we can export fish to Europe because Europe is our largest market for fish. That's an opportunity in detail that I can speak about. And so you can see these pictures. These are my children. So I'm not telling you stuff that this is our last born. Just 1 hour, 45 minutes outside Kampala, you can get to a game park where you can touch and kiss a zebra and touch those monkeys. you can see, I hope you gave me you didn't give me the one with the lion?
It is
So,
that.
in Uganda, it's the only place where you can touch a lion and feel it and take pictures with it. So, this is our nature. And so we've been growing at 6%. Next year, we are going to add on $10 billion on our economy in the petrochemical industry. And we want companies that are able to manufacture petrochemical products. Because oil and gas will start next year. And now we are members of a larger market called Africa, the Africa Common Market. So when you produce in Uganda, for example, we have a standing arrangement with Algeria to supply powdered milk, $500 million a year. But our total production in Uganda for powdered milk is less than 100 million. It's small, so we need investment to produce more powder. And I know we are selling some casein and powdered milk in China, very, very small. So we want companies and partnerships in that area. What I say of milk is the same for coffee, is the same for fruits, is the same for vegetables. We have standing arrangement with African countries to be able to supply them. We are expanding Entebbe Airport and building a second airport to make sure that our cargo is cheaper. There are some reforms we are now doing. We want to test products going out of the country right at the airport so that high-value goods don't have to be tested in other locations. We're improving our labs, as I will be showing you. This is Western Uganda, where we're commissioning oil production next year. It means that people will need to spend more on electricity, on fridges, on televisions, on fast-moving consumer goods. But production is low, and therefore that's why I came here, so that we prepare for this. These are mineral resources that have been proven found. We are giving mineral licenses to companies to be able to refine some of them. If you look at iron ore, we have about 500,000 metric tons across the country. We are going to start producing sponge iron in southwestern Uganda, but we want companies across all this mineral chain to be able to export this to the world. This morning at CNLight, I heard about lithium, and I want to have more conversation on lithium, because we are licensing car companies and motorbike companies to produce batteries for lithium. And we don't have someone doing that so far. So China, we have had, as I said, these historical relations over time. Those products are not Ugandan products. They are Uganda-Chinese products. And they are sold across the world. This is sunsets here, I suppose. So let me just very briefly share with you some of the reasons why we have not been selling much in China. Limited awareness, because we need to do a bit of direct marketing. I'm very happy to have Ambassador Judith Savavera as our representative here, because she switched on. She'll be working with us, helping us to make sure that the commitments we make are fulfilled. There's been low person-to-person exchange. You know that trade grows with person-to-person exchange. Part of the issue is language. So there's Cantonese being taught in Makerere, but I think we need to teach Chinese language across universities and schools so that we can understand each other. But also Chinese need to learn some of the Ugandan languages. And then the payment systems, these are things we want to speak about with our central banks. For people to be paid in renminbis. If I have an order from Uganda, I don't have to go through New York with dollars. If you can find a way to integrate our payment system. But this is going to come with pressure on trade. Once you have more orders, then that's a good problem for me. to push a particular line that allows Chinese businesses to be paid in their local currency, or to pay us that local currency. So this is what we are making interventions on. We are now processing these bananas, and we have very good banana flour. Banana flour, you can make porridge, you can make breakfast cereal, you can make cakes. We have a lot of this now, 10 million tons a year, and we are trying to find a market for offtake here. So Uganda has many banana types. In China, you may know one banana. We have 55 different types of bananas. The small, the large, the green, the yellow, the pink, the blue. They all taste differently. And we are making these products. We want to make sure that they are supplied here. And we are looking for an investor in this plant. It's government owned. It produces 1.5 million, 1,500 tons in a year. But we want it to produce 1 million tons in a year. That means you expand production, machinery, capabilities, and you buy more from farmers who are producing these bananas. So we are working with the government of China on having the protocols signed. The government of China has told us we need to fulfill certain conditions. We know about them. And we hope that once we can start with coffee and other grains, which have protocols, we can work this out. So I'm looking for a partner to invest in our beef industry, because we had signed 20,000 metric tons a year in 2018 to bring it to China. 20,000 metric tons means that you are slaughtering about 100 animals a day. We have 16 million cows. We can, in a year, slaughter 20%, and the herd will grow. But I haven't found a very good person to work with. We had a private Chinese company. He didn't give us the standard. By this time, we would have had protocols on beef. So I'm kind of sending out a request. We have land, we have the animals. I just want someone I can work with for a demonstration farm that supplies China beef, and we get protocols done. This is one of our companies supplying the UN in Central Africa. Cement. We are producing 6 million metric tons of cement, but the country in 5 years requires 12 million. Kenya does about 8 million tons. But when you start with oil, people are going to be constructing more roads, more houses. This demand will go up. So I need more investment in the cement industry in Uganda. Coffee. We produce about 450,000 metric tons. We are only roasting very small component. Now, it's a very attractive deal because we don't have time. We really, really need to deal with this importation of refined coffee products from Italy. Yet Italy does not grow coffee at all, does not set up plants with us. And we are looking for allies in China who are able to work with setting up roasteries in the country. This is one of the companies we are working with in the US. It's a Ugandan company. It is in Chicago. So there are companies we are beginning to support next month, as long as you are bringing roasted coffee. This is dairy products. I spoke about milk. We produce 5 billion liters of milk annually, but we are only processing 360 billion. The rest needs more powder plants. This is milk. This is fish. This is tilapia. This is a Nile perch. I know that we are about to sign a protocol on fish moles. We spoke to the ambassador of China to Uganda, PACEID, and Minister of Agriculture. We want investment in fish to produce more fish for export. We have a shortfall of 700,000 metric tons of fish for export. And we have only 2 plants making feeds. Both of them are making 100,000 tons of fish feed. Some of the requirements is to build more plants that can produce fish feeds. So I'm taking a lot of time, but just to give you context, because since I have you just for an afternoon, it's important to understand the capabilities of our country and the opportunity. For you to produce 1 kilo of fish, you use 1.5 kilos of fish feeds. Now, for you to produce 1 million tons of fish, you must buy or grow or export 800,000 metric tons of maize, corn. You must also produce 600,000 metric tons of soya bean. So you see how many more other products now you are producing. Then we will put a tax on importation of cooking oil because we spend $100 million just importing cooking oil, but it comes from soya bean. We can give incentives to stop that as long as you produce the byproduct of soya bean and you produce fish feeds. These are all opportunities. You don't even have to sell the fish here. You can sell it in Dubai. You can sell it in West Africa. You can sell it in Europe. Okay? I think this is flowers. We have signed an agreement with Britain now. They have removed taxes on flowers from East Africa. And we are selling very little, so we want investment in that area. Fruits and vegetables. This afternoon I ate the biggest strawberry I've ever seen. So these are organic. When we say organic in Uganda, we mean that something has been produced at a smallholder farm level. There are no chemicals used. And some of our products like pineapples and avocado are so big that European companies don't stock them because they say, oh, it's too big, someone cannot, first of all, it does not fit in our distribution chains, but they also say the pineapple is too big for one person to eat. So, but that's a good problem. If you have a good sweet pineapple, a big avocado, it means that you need specialized markets that understand this, and we think China is one of them. This is grains, this is maize. This is poultry. I don't intend that we bring poultry to China, but I know that Poland is sending eggs to Congo. Poland flies eggs into Congo, so if I have a company in Uganda producing eggs and chicken, the market is available. This is sugar. So sugarcane has about 6 products, but we're only just producing sugar for consumption, for drinking. We're not talking about bagasse, we're not talking about other products for electricity. So we have a target on sugar. So this is tourism. These are some of our volcanic lakes. We want investment in hotel chains in the game parks. We'd like to find a partner who can build runways in some of our game parks for people to land directly, so they don't have to go through Entebbe. These are opportunities available. This is Lake Mburo, one of our game parks. Tourists enjoying an evening. And we're building a consortium. Consortiums per products of what I showed you. A consortium means that there is a producer, an aggregator, a transporter, and the product comes to market. And government is spending every year $400 million with farmers at a local level to ensure that we have enough production. I think if you take that, you'll find our catalog online, Brenda. That catalog is online. We have about 60 companies on that catalog, and you should see who is in which sector. We are improving this catalog so that you can have more companies from China and vice versa on. So very quickly, I want to close now. These are the interventions we're making. We're making sure that whichever market we go to, we conduct some basic research on what people would like to eat and how they eat it. We find someone to become our trade representative. Eventually, we establish a trade hub. We will support that trade hub with some small amounts of money at the start, but we want them to run independently, to be profitable as long as they are centers of receiving and distributing those products. For us to do the markets, because we don't want to get into markets blindly. We want to know what people want. And so one of my requests here is, what does the province of Guangdong and China really like to consume, and how do they want it, so that we can work standards? When you get a market, it asks you for food safety. So we are working on one food agency that will check animal health, medicine, chemicals, phytosanitary certificates, so that we make it easier for a company that has orders to go to one place and get this certification. And then we are working on infrastructure, our airports, our laboratories, to make trade from Uganda, exporting from Uganda easier. And finally, next week, we are going to commission an export fund. A small amount of money we give to suppliers so that they can give you the product you need, and you pay them over 6 months a year. This is to make trading out of Uganda easier. These reforms are what we think can give us extra capacity as a country. So this is what we are asking, that we can work with you to remove non-tariff trade barriers to bring products into China. Very important, because for us, we will remove all our non-tariff trade barriers for capital coming to Uganda. We give incentives in Uganda. We want the same. And we know that private sector can apply pressure, often on government institutions, to get this right. Because we need to transport things from one point to another, we are looking for investment in refrigeration, investment in transportation infrastructure, investment in distribution. These we will give incentives as long as someone is aggregating and bringing products together, and we ensure that if you can assemble frozen trucks to carry fish, to carry fruits and vegetables, we give you all the incentives, and you partner with the local companies. We're looking for product off-takers. These are buyers, large-scale buyers. Why I emphasize this? The first one, when you aggregate products in one place, then you do what in English we call agglomeration. There will be companies wanting raw materials, so they will set up plants nearby. You make it easier. That's how Airbus in Europe works. 7,000 companies are in one area in Toulouse, in southern France, just because there's assembly of an aircraft. So it's the same on other products, on minerals, on food products. Now, so we are looking also for partnerships to finance industrial parks. We want industrial parks for export within Africa. We know that the Agriculture Bank here, Ambassador Nsababera has told me that we're trying to find a way to finance Ugandan companies. Well, now we can finance Ugandan companies, but we can do it in partnership with banks here to lessen the risk, to de-risk entry of capital and products on this market. And so this is our trade hub in Belgrade. We have opened 2 locations in Belgrade where you find Uganda coffee, Uganda tea, Uganda vanilla. People come in, Uganda gin, Uganda motai. You find them in one place, and you can make orders. You can. These are run by private sector. This is Boris. He's going to be processing 300 metric tons every 6 months of roasted coffee for Southern Europe. In fact, from here, I'm just going to check on them. We are opening the 3rd one. We want to open in London by end of the year, so that Uganda is much more known. I want to open one here with Ambassador Sababera and private sector and CN Light, and see if we can do it together. So this is the infrastructure we are working on. These are warehouses at Entebbe Airport. 3,600 square meters of warehousing we are giving to companies to put in their infrastructure and export. We'll be doing labs here for testing products going out. We'll be roasting some coffee. But we'll expand this near Entebbe once we have partners here. This is one of the companies they showed. We're looking for someone to work with on dried fruits, drying the fruits and packing them for export. Dry chilies, these are products that China needs and will require to work with you on. These are fruits, these are grains, that's cassava. Ambassador Judith, so it means this cassava, we can speak about it. I didn't realize that we were thinking together. Uganda produces about 450,000 tons of cassava in northern Uganda, in parts of center, but turning this cassava into cassava flour and exporting it has been an issue we want to fix. The fruits. So this is what Uganda offers to you. Invoice underwriting, we will underwrite. If you order from Uganda, we will give money to a supplier to make sure that it's quicker. We will provide land, we will remove taxes on packaging and machinery, we will give you local partnerships to work with as companies so that you lower your production costs.